Hello everybody, this is Linda and you're at Icky Chic Designs, and I'm thrilled to have you here, and thank you so much for visiting here with me at my channel. And if you find something of value, I hope I can earn your subscription while you're here, and also perhaps you would share with your friends. That would help me out immensely. Today we're going to do a landscape throwdown style. Now, years ago, I think I made a video on this subject, and I did it in order to help take the fear out of landscape. Landscape is a compilation of different fabrics, textures, styles, colors, in order to simulate what we might see in nature. But now, when we look out at a scene, we all see different things. For some of us, it's the texture that gets us. For others, it's the light play. For others, it's the colors. For others, it's the shape or the roll of the land and the sky. It's just amazing how we all see different things. So the throwdown method is so easy to get us started. It's just a starting point. Now I get 12 to 15 pieces that I think coordinate together. And here's my pieces that I've got for this landscape. You can see they're all kinds of stuff. And I believe there's 12 in here, maybe 13. Well, 13 counting the lace probably. And the lace is going to be, in this case, my sky. I know that for sure. All right. Picking out skies are, to me, you can't really throw down a sky a lot of times because you just don't have the right fabric for it. So we're going to try that. Now what we're going to do now is kind of throw down and simulate what might go good on that sky. Let's see, something really light to start with, maybe a little bit darker and then a little bit darker still. How about throw down some something to play in with that. Now we need a contrast. What if we do like something like that, throw that down. Let's come across with that. Let's kill some of that. We need to put something in there that's a little lighter. Okay. Let's throw something across there. Across there maybe. Let's throw that down, and that down, and that down. Okay. A throwdown method. That didn't take much at all, did it? Now, this does not mean that this is where these are going to go. But this tells me, will they work together? I think they will. The only one that really bothers me right now is this one. It just seems to be too much of a light color. It might work if it were positioned, let's say, closer to the bottom. Let's get this one over here. Something like that maybe. But still, it just kind of, it glares, it just screams to me, I'm out of place, I'm out of place. So I'm going to take that one out. All right. And then I'm going to throw this one back in here. And now I will need something to fill in right here. And what I have, I don't know yet. Let's see. What if I took a little bit of a gray just for a fill-in? That might work, and then something like that. Okay, that's much better. Even though I'm still not happy with this, it's not glaring at me, okay? And I'm going to pick out a sun or a moon to put up here. Let's see. I think that one will do. All right. So now we have something to begin with. Because we can take them in and push them out, we can do whatever we want to with it, okay? Now, also, if I want to put some growth in here, a lot of times what I will do is pull out of my fringe. Let me grab a couple pieces here. Alright, here's 3 fringes. This one obviously would work as a growth. We could see that. Let's just cut a little piece off. And I want to show you. We just tuck it under something and let there be some growth. There, okay. Now how would we use these other 2? Okay, well these are tall, skinny little growths. So we might use those at the bottom and let those just come up. Okay. Now we might not necessarily want all that blue showing at the bottom. So we might take this piece here and do something like that. And then we could sew these in, okay? They're the closest to us, and so they appear to be taller. All right, we have one more. Let's just cut that. Okay, covering up some here. And this works good because now we can pull that over the top of that one. Okay. Now let's say we have a little piece of this kind. Fringes work wonderful for this. All right. This one has the little fringes. And let's say we wanted to just tuck those under right there, bring it down, and just let those grow in there. So we have a lot of growth already. All right. Then if we wanted to embroider or use other pieces, we could do that. And again, this piece is still bothering me. Let's see if I could find something. Oh, I have a million fabrics, but not the one I need when I need it. How about, let's see. I think I like that piece. And there. Much better. Okay, that works. For me, that works. Also, for me, I would take and trim off some of the heights on this for this one. Now, I might save that to work in down here. But now when I put this up there, it's not so overpowering, okay? All right, let's just for now cut this one off. Okay, now again, I have a landscape masterboard, you might call it, laid out. Something that I think I can work with and continue with it and put it together. So the throwdown method is just get you a background. In this case, I used a piece of batting. Decide on your sky, and then get 12 to 15 scraps that you think kind of coordinate for the tone and mood and whatever of the landscape you want to make. This could all be pastels. This could be blacks and grays. This could be reds and oranges and hot yellows. It could be anything. It could be organic, more organic like I have. So it could be less if you don't want as many options in there. We'll cut back on your pieces to, like, say 8 or 10 instead of 12 or 15. And when you throw those down, see if they coordinate. If they do, start throwing them down a little bit more organized. And then from there, look at it and think, okay, now I think I can work with this, but maybe I want to tweak this. I want to move that. I want to, in other words, start laying it out the way you want it, okay? And then start stitching it in. It's easy to lay it out and then peel it back and stack them up in the order that you want to put them on. And then, like, sew your sky, and then put your first piece on and sew it, and your second, and so forth. And build that landscape from the top down. Now, I say from the top down because you want to start a project from the furthest point out in a landscape. That helps you to get the right depth of field, okay, to it. If you start it up front, things don't come out right. Your darks are in the wrong place, your lights are in the wrong place. Things back here are too large, things up here are too small. It just kind of works out that way. But you don't have to be an artist if you remember to start at the furthest way back in your landscape, sewing it down when you make those permanent decisions, okay? All right. Now, another thing I'm going to do is take some of this little nylon stuff and put it in here because it has a little bit of glitz and shine. I'll just put a little bit of that. You know me, got to have some glitz on everything, Then, like this that I cut off of my fringe, that's easy worked in between some of this blue down here, like grasses, okay? You don't have to throw things away just because you don't need them exactly like they are the first time. I'm going to save all those little pieces because I'm definitely going to use them, okay? All right. Now, if you have a little house or something like that you want to put in on your little thing, well, do it. If not, just leave it the landscape. All right. Okay, I hope that gets you started, and I'll be stitching on this, and I'll come back and show you how I stitched it down. And perhaps in the meantime, you can throw down your own landscape and work along with me. All right. Until next time, stay very scrap happy. Well, let's get a little further with this landscaping. Now, you remember we threw everything down to check out whether or not the grouping that we had, that we threw down, was that going to work? Were the color coordinations good? Were the texture mixture good? Things like that. And we decided that it was pretty good, pretty okay. We even laid it out in a way. And so we're going to go from there. Now, what I did was I took a photograph of this just so I would have a starting point where I can use it as a reference point if I lose perspective along the way, because I'm not tied into this. This is not glued down. We can change this around any way we want. The other thing is I'm going to take up most of what I've laid down so that I can begin stitching. So let me do that. Let me just pick up my little pile of stuff here, and I'll do this from the bottom because, as I said, we start at the furthest point back and build forward in order to create a depth of field. Now you saw me put on the lace for my sky, and I'm happy with that, but I don't want just, you know, that just is kind of boring like it is. So I found a couple little scraps here. We're in a light blue, and I thought, okay, I could work that in a little bit and just see if I could create a little more interest in my sky. The lace will mute that down, and we'll just see what that looks like. Okay, let's get that down here. I think what I will do is I will pin this on the top edge so I can work with it and it won't come up every time I do, where I'm going to be stitching along that top edge. There we go. So now I can play with that a little more, get that a little higher in there. All right, get this one a little lower down. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me try just playing with it some more. Remember that playing with your stuff is the best way to see what you like and don't like. Now I have this little piece of gauzy fabric, and it has sequins worked into it. But I thought a little piece of this worked also into my background. You just get will also give me some color change and not have just complete vanilla sky there. Okay, and was thinking that I might could rip up a little piece of this for kind of a rough looking cloud here. Okay, we don't need a cloud with lots of fringe on it, so we'll take some of that off. A little of that fringe is okay, but not too much. We might position that, try playing with that a little. I like it over it. I like breaking it up. Let's take this and out to the edge and break this up right in the middle. And then when we place this in here, our sky has some kind of interest going on back there. You know, it's not just stark one color across. Not liking that too much. Let's see. A little piece of this is a little bit almost like a cloud effect. We could break up this over here with that. Okay, I like that because it gives me some interest in there. I started with my throwdown, and then I add to as I see and I want. So let me just pin this so I can stitch it. All right. Now I am going to go back and pick up that first really light piece of gauzy fabric I got, because I think I want to play that in there on the edge. I don't want color right now on that. But if I take that and really work that up a little. That kind of breaks that sky up just a little bit. But with a very light color, that's a good transition. All right. And I'm going to pin that because I want to sew the top part of that. I won't sew the bottom because I don't know whether the next piece I will put under or over it. So I'll leave the bottom open to give me a choice, okay? Now, I've picked a very light gray, two-stranded thread here, embroidery floss, and that's what I'm going to start stitching down, okay? And so what I'm going to do here is just straight stitching. And first of all, I'm going to go across this top and get this down. I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off. Okay, I'm going to stitch this down. And get that fastened to the top, okay? Just going to do not a huge, large, but not a tiny, small either. Just do what I call a nice size stitch right across the top. And one thing about the lace that I use, the thread buries up in part of it, so it kind of, helps to hide some of it. Not that I want it hidden, but I don't want the color or the stitching in the sky to take away from the collaging that I put together there, okay? Again, we don't want to overthink this. Collaging, if you overthink it, you ruin it. It becomes structured. It doesn't have free flow. It doesn't have spontaneity. It doesn't look organic. It looks architectural. And to me, that is not what I want out of my landscapes. So try not to overthink it. Work with it like you saw me just do, playing with different pieces to go on my sky, but nothing, horribly important. And if I don't like something, it's not in concrete, I can change it. Just play with it, and you would not believe some of the most unusual fabrics work together so well. I mean, look at the diversity in those fabrics, okay? A little bit of everything there. But now me, it's working well. And again, another thing that if you haven't heard me say it before, you'll hear me say it 100 times. Do not judge a piece before you stitch it, because stitching changes it immensely, okay? Now what I'm going to do here is hold that a second, and I'm going to trim these edges so I can see where my edge to sew is. You see, we have a nice adherence there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down the side and this fabric that has the sequins in it, I actually have to work in and around the sequins, and sometimes, you know, right through the center of them. Whatever it seems to take is what I need to do. Okay, that one is, I need to go back and trim that some more. Okay. We're just going to come all the way down this side. I'm going to come all the way down to the top of this blue part right here. And then I'm going to start overcasting the top of this blue part. And I think that that gray is a good color for that. It's not too prominent. Kind of works in with the lace. I get a couple of stitches right here, and I can take this one out because I'm catching that blue piece behind as I'm coming along with this gauzy piece. I lift it a little bit more onto that back. There you go. All right, let me bring you down a little bit and let you see more closer what I'm doing here. I am simply very gently overcasting that bottom piece on top. With just kind of small stitches. I don't want huge stitches on this right now. Sometimes you do, but whoops, let's get this out over here. Okay, we're coming up a little bit, so we're going to start picking up. Okay. I love it when I take pins out, don't you? I'm still working over fabric that has the sequins in the background, so as I feel my way through you, that may look like why I'm struggling. I can feel sequins behind me, so I've got to find a place to get my needle in and keep on going. I will like the fact that those sequins do give my sky a little sparkle. Like sun glinting off of stars, or sometimes the sun is just, the glare is just strong. Okay. You can see that there's nothing difficult about what we've done so far. Just a little bit of collaging the elements that we threw down to start with. And remember also we said that we can discard or add to, so we're not locked in. And now we're just stitching our elements down, starting at the feathers point back, and which in this case in the landscape is the sky in the background coming toward the foreground. Also remember that basically I'm using scraps. I have not bought fabric to make this landscape, so I'm working with what I've got, trying to make pieces blend and coordinate where I need it, and make pieces contrast where I need it. Most people don't think of lace as being sky, but why not? If it fits what you want, why not? Don't limit yourself by that kind of thinking. You can only do this with this fabric, you can only do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can do anything you want to. It's your piece. You're designing. A couple more stitches and we'll tie it off. Okay. All right. So far we have the very top. I can take this pin out. Probably not this one. I'm still working on that and this. These need to stay in. Not going to do the bottom part yet. Why? Because I don't know if the next piece is going over or under. I'll make that decision when I get to that piece, okay? So now I will load up my needle and I will continue to stitch on this area, and then I'll come back.